Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
Now, Rob, as you know, I try and get a special guest every week, and I was a bit...
And you succeed.
I was a bit torn. Do we try and find someone who teaches in a remote school in the middle of nowhere in Western Australia, or do we get the coach of the AFL Pakistan team that just won the Asian Cup? And I thought, conveniently, this bloke's both. Michael Gallus, good morning.
Yeah, g'day Neil, g'day Rob, and g'day Geelong. Good to be back on Geelong Radio.
Yes, albeit working your way up to the Pulse, I understand.
It certainly am.
Righto, Michael. Now there'll be people listening saying...
Radio station now. I'm on the good one.
You're on the good one. There'll be people listening saying, Michael Gallus, why do I know that name? Michael Gallus. Tell us a bit about your Geelong connection.
Yeah, very lucky to be part of the K-Rock footy team back in the old days of Pete LeGrand and Snake and Mitho and Benny Cass and Heath Buck and all those legends of Geelong radio. Spent a few years as boundary rider and worked my way up to do a bit of commentating there. And yeah, Tommy King, really look back fondly on my time in Geelong radio. Had a lot of fun. Busey, old Busey will be listening, I'm sure.
I will pass on your warmest. We had Busey in our Pulse radio commentary box a couple of occasions this year for a chat and a bit of special comments. He is a very entrenched in local footy again, which is good to see.
No, he's a superstar, and you wouldn't believe it. As I'm sure you blokes know, a national pole vaulter as well.
Yeah.
Just to top it off his sporting career.
Found that very hard to get over.
He's going so well as well.
Of course, Busey, I always think of him as a former Brisbane Lions player who played a few games for Geelong, but that's neither here nor there. Now, Michael, where do we start with you? Let's start with your most recent success as a football coach. Now, most people wouldn't realise that AFL is a game in Pakistan, much less being a championship team. Tell us a bit about that journey.
Yeah, it's pretty extraordinary, really. They've been playing in Pakistan since 2014. I was lucky enough to coach their women's team at the International Cup in Melbourne in 2017. And the determination and the resilience and really the courage of those girls to come out of Pakistan and come to a foreign country and play a foreign sport really inspired me to go to their country. They invited me back. I went back in 2019. I did 10 cities in 10 days, running AFL clinics across every city. Started in Karachi, went up to Multan in the middle, Lahore, Gujranwala, Swabi, and then up to Islamabad. And then from that, obviously maintain my connection and really help them. AFL Pakistan run by all nationals, no expats, which is extraordinary. I think it's the only Australian football international group that is run by all nationals, and they just liked what they saw and got a real passion for sport, as we know through cricket. And then I was lucky enough to spend the last 4 weeks in Pakistan sourcing the best players, and obviously I did some time with the Brisbane Lions as a recruiter as well, a Melbourne-based recruiter. So I knew exactly what I needed to build a really good team that could be competitive and, fingers crossed, with a bit of luck and a miracle, go through and win the whole thing. And the other hard thing about playing the Asia Cup was that all the other teams are full of expat Australians. The Laos Elephants, who we played in the grand final after getting over Cambodia Eagles by a point in the semi-final, actually had 2 waffle players. They had Blair Bell, who's the Peel Thunder leading goal kicker. He kicked 2 goals in the first half from the centre, and they also had a waffle midfielder. And we were 20 points down at half time, and the greats of John Kennedy and David Parkin and Lee Matthews certainly inspired me to give them everything I got. They had 600 seconds. We're only playing 10-minute halves, so I said, you've got 600 seconds to cover yourself in glory, and if you have a crack at every one of those seconds, I know that you are fitter, because we did a 7-day, 3-hour-a-day camp where I did an hour of fitness, an hour of match simulation, an hour of rules, because half these blokes, this was their first game of football ever, and yet I said, we can run over the top of these boys. They're Aussie boys that have been out drinking and partying. You blokes haven't, because they're all committed Muslims. You've got the legs. You just got to get that first goal, get your tails up and run home, and that's exactly what happened. And they, first time ever, a first team entered into the competitions won, and the first time ever a national team full of national players has won their division of the Asia Cup. And as you might imagine, we were the crowd favourites from everyone, and the boys have returned home national heroes. They're getting awards. They're on every TV station, and, Pakistan sport don't win too much, and to take that cup home really changed each and every one of their lives.
I just wish I was able to juxtapose Teddy Whitten in the 3GL press box down to Polly Perkins at the Laos Elephants versus Pakistan game. Polly, give us the three-quarter time score.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. It was a great competition. Hats off to the AFL, Simon Highfield, the AFL International CEO in Melbourne, and the boys over there in Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand, that ran the whole show from AFL Asia, Matt Gale. Really, it was great. We had about 20 different teams. We had women's teams as well. The Singapore Wombats, they won the women's division. And it was just great to have everyone up and about playing footy and, really just making connections and having fun.
The Singapore Wombats. Goodness gracious me. Who's involved in naming these teams? That doesn't sort of have a ring to it to me.
Oh, they were fantastic. The Vietnam Swans, we beat them. We beat the Thailand Tigers, Singapore. I can't remember what Singapore were. Yeah, it's just great. It's a fantastic competition, and it's just going to get stronger and stronger. We had two AFL umpires, Nathan Toner. He was flown in, and another young fellow was flown in from Melbourne. You wouldn't believe it. I coached and taught Nathan Toner at Penley and Essendon Grammar School when I was there, so he nearly fell over when he came around the corner and saw his umpire in one of my games. But he got the boys home, so he did the right thing.
Ooh, controversy, Michael.
So, Michael, I obviously follow you on Facebook, and folks, if you want some entertainment, link up with Michael on Facebook. It seemed to me that short of Imran Khan, who's unfortunately found himself in a spot of bother overnight, you would just about be the second most popular TV personality in Pakistan for the last 6 months.
No, you're exactly right. We're on breakfast radio. We're on evening TV, breakfast TV. I was on a TikTok. I did a TikTok. I don't even know what TikTok was or is. I did some TikTok with his breakfast TV lady from Pashto. I was learning Pashto and Urdu. That's the other thing. Majority of my team didn't speak English, so everything I said had to be translated. So that was a bit of fun. There was a lot of laughter going on with the translations. So I'm not exactly sure what they said to him. And I did this TikTok with his Pashto lady, and it got 50,000 views. So it must have been a slow day in Pakistan if they're all watching me on TikTok.
I'm just picturing you using some David Parkin-isms to a translator to get a group of Pakistanis.
Just do something!
Yeah, well, I think they worked out at half time that I wasn't very happy, and we'd worked for 4 weeks and we're 20 points down, and you got 10 minutes and 600 seconds to do something, and it was a miracle, and they did. The big ruckman Tuller, he just tapped it straight down to Bilal. Bilal was a 40-metre long kick to the forward line, and that's what I said at that in half time. Just give it to the midfielders, kick it long. I had this superstar, like majority of the players had come from elite sports. So I had national soccer players, hockey players, cricket players, and I knew all I had to do was to give them some basic skills and the will to win, and the confidence that as a team we were fitter, because they're all obviously national players from other sports, and the majority of the Aussies were over there having a party, which I knew. Just run over the top. I knew if we could make the semi-finals, which we did, that we'd be fitter, and we just got the luck. We were struggling a bit up forward, and I brought in Yasser from Gujrawala. He had 7 stitches in his hand in a training accident, but he wasn't going to miss out. Had it all taped up. I put him to full forward, and he took a crucial mark, kicked that crucial point to get us in the grand final, and then the rest is history. And I had this soccer player, and I taught him, I said, look, when the ball's on the ground, don't even bother picking up. Just play soccer. And he kicked one of the best backheel AFL goals you'll ever see for that first goal in the grand final in the second half to get the boys up and about. It's seriously, have a look on the vision. You go to AFL Asia, they've got the vision and the length for the grand final. It's extraordinary. And again, it shows that anyone can play AFL from any sport if they're fit and, they want to have some fun. It's the greatest game in the world. And Pakistanis love it. We did a training session for one of these trials for the national team, I had 1,500 school kids ringed, clapping and cheering with everything that we did. It's just extraordinary, their love for AFL over there, and it's just going to continue to grow.
Now, because Rob was talking to me before, he said, I wonder whether he put Yasser to full forward. That would be the crucial move in the grand final for us. And there it was. So,
No, you're exactly right.
Yeah, Rob's all over it. So you're teaching kids and grown-ups in Pakistan how to play footy, which in itself is a long way from the northwestern suburbs of Melbourne, which is where you hang out some of the time. Now, just give us a rough idea of where we're going to find you right at the minute.
Yeah, the mighty Noonkanbah cattle station. Those of you that know Australia, have a Google that. And pretty much in the middle of nowhere in the Kimberleys. We're about 600 k's east of Broome. And, came up here. A long story with everything, but I came up here about 8 weeks before I went to Pakistan as a teacher, and perfect storm of events, ended up being the principal. And now I took the commitment to Pakistan, and then back up here for the last 6 weeks of term. And it's extraordinary to get that opportunity. We're all Aboriginal community. We've got a school of about 60, 70 kids, prep to 12. Before I left, I was the assistant coach of the Noonkanbah Blues women's team, and jeepers, they can play footy up here, can't they? It's extraordinary watching the kids and the adults. The Noonkanbah Blues women's team, we had players from 16 up to 65. I think we had a couple of grandmas in the team, and the Aboriginal people, they just love their footy more than the Pakistanis do, and the ability to be involved in that, and then also obviously work with such a committed team of young teachers from all over the world, really, up here, and hats off to all teachers that are teaching remote, all teachers anywhere, really. It's a tough gig these days. But to come out here and to work with Aboriginal kids and it's to learn about their culture. You're on the ground in an Aboriginal community that is so remote that you get that understanding of what it's like, and you get that learning. You learn about their music, you learn about their art, you learn about their history, and it's just extraordinary to be, to be able to be a small part of that. And then to work with them in the classroom with teaching them English. I've got a young Year 7 boy that I'm working with every day, and then working with the kids. We're off to the Derby pool next week. We had the athletics at Fitzroy just before I left for Pakistan, and to see all the kids, they can run, can't they? They're just extraordinary in their sporting ability. And with opportunities, any of these kids can play professional sport anywhere. In any sport, it's just, I've never seen anything like it. We certainly don't have that ability in the cities, that's for sure.
Michael, I have another format on this radio station. I will be giving you a ring. There's another conversation about the educational side of what you're doing, which we need to talk more about, I think.
No, I'd love to. And, it's passionate. I've got two of the teachers with me at the moment, Fran and Chelsea, who are young graduates, and there's a lot of young graduates working remote in all parts of Australia in Aboriginal areas, and it's that passion and commitment. And I urge all teachers that are listening across Geelong and anywhere, go remote. You learn more about yourself and this great country, and the ability to gain respect from Aboriginal people and learn about their world, which is, it's totally different, especially remote from working in the city, and it's such an amazing world that you get an opportunity to be in and learn from. It's, it's something it's one of the greatest things in education that I've sort of ever had the opportunity to do, and it's a great honour to have that privilege too, to be involved and to really make that huge difference in their lives, and to give them that confidence and give them that ability to be educated and to encourage them to be educated too.
Michael, how old are you?
51.
Oh, got many, many years in front of you. I was just thinking...
He sounds 32.
Oh, he does? He sounds
He actually
30.
paid me to say that, by the way.
My wife says I'm 15, so don't worry. So does everyone else on me.
So, Michael, I was a school teacher in the mid-1700s, and, I taught in a small country school, and people used to say, gee, that's remote. Fancy living in Charlton and teaching up there, and, I'd come home every weekend and all that kind of stuff. You've obviously taught at PEGS, you've mentioned that earlier, Penley and Essendon Grammar School, and that's a fairly formal private school in the northwestern suburbs of Melbourne, reasonably privileged, I would suggest. the contrast between a day in the life of Michael Gallus, teacher at Pegs, from getting up and getting in the car and driving to Pegs, compared with what you do now. Run us through a normal day, if there is such a thing, at your school.
Yeah, well, that's a great question, boys. That's why you're the best radio station going around in Geelong, that's for sure. Well, the other day we had a brolga, those big birds that had a broken wing, and that was in the playground trying to peck everyone. And the more we tried to corral it, the more it tried to attack us. So then we had to do a bit of Hansel and Gretel, put breadcrumbs down with a trail leading out the front gate, and you wouldn't believe it, but it actually worked with all the kids cheering along as it went step by step and ate each breadcrumb. And then we had the day that the young bullermen, we're on a cattle station with about, I think there's 20,000 head of cattle, and they just get free rein. There's no lawnmowers. I was driving to work the other day and looked in the front yard. There's 3 massive bullermans as big as your car just munching on the grass. So that's, you don't need that. And then we had a calf that made its way into the school ground and was playing on the footy field with all the kids, but kept bowling everyone over. So luckily one of our teacher aides was done a bit of station work, so he wrangled it to the ground, and then we had to carry it off the field and put it outside the school gate. So, and that's when you're not dodging frogs or snakes. Or we had a baby Joey in there the other day that disappeared from his mum. We had to look after. So, it's just, that's the great thing. And we're on the way to Broome. It's an 8-hour round trip. I'm picking up Eddie Worthington, a great cricketer who's come up here for 2 weeks. What a great kid, 19, to teach the kids how to play cricket for the next 2 weeks. And, there's never a dull moment. You don't know what's going to happen. We're going to the Derby pool. Oh, I can't wait for that. I'm not even on the list, but I'm going, I tell you. I'm having a day off and swimming with the kids at 40 degrees. And we're down the river. We got the Fitzroy River come through up here. And had a great swim last night, and then one of my other friends just texted me and said, there's a lot of salty crocodiles in that river, don't you?
I saw that on Facebook. Surely that gives your kids a really unfair advantage in the inter-school sports, because they're known, all you need to do is yell croc and instead of shoot a gun, and they're off like a dirty sock, I would have thought.
Yeah, don't you worry about that. Now, the wallabies and the kangaroos, that's why they're so good at sport. They all chase them and dodge and weave when they're around. So, and they play footy from 1 year old up here, or basic kids, as soon as they can walk. So every morning before school, I take them up in the basketball court, so we're playing footy and basketball and octopus tiggy, and that ability just to run, and the great thing about the Aboriginal people that I've learned is their sense of humour. They find everything funny and they're laughing at everything, and that makes it such a positive environment to be around as well. And and they're so well resourced, the schools. That surprised me as well. So all these remote schools out here have got the same, they've got iPads, they've got TVs, they've got Wi-Fi, just like we have in the city. The library we've got here is the best library I've ever seen in relation to the amount of Indigenous books that they have for the kids, and that's across the board. We've got Ely, we've got Luma, we've got Bailoo, lots of remote community schools here that I've met with the principals and the teachers, and it's not what you'd expect, and that's why I really urge all the city teachers that are listening, get yourself up here and you'll have a ball and you'll learn more about yourself than you ever would teaching in the city, I can tell you.
So if there is someone listening, and I'm thinking about making a teaching comeback now, Rob.
I'm inspired.
Yeah, hang on, I've stopped thinking about it now. But if someone is listening, there's a 25-year-old teacher who said, I've done my first teaching stint, I'm ready to take a gap year or whatever. How do they get a role in a remote school? Is there a central body, a website, or something they can go to?
Yeah, just on Facebook, look at remote teaching opportunities. There's the group that recruited me was called Footprints Teaching, Remote Teaching Recruitment Agency. If you just plug that in, mate, they're screaming for teachers in the city, but you can imagine we're screaming for them out here. And I'm certainly looking for a lot of these teachers have, they've done their stint and they're returning back to their hometown. So I'm looking for lower primary, middle primary, upper primary, lower secondary, upper secondary teachers for next year. So I'll leave my number and, like you said, just contact me on Facebook or Instagram, and I'd love to get you up here. You'd have a ball too. You'd have a great time.
So I guess, again, if you're a 25-year-old, one of the things that would sit in their mind would be, compensation, if you will. In Melbourne, they're probably earning, a first-year teacher's probably earning, 65, something like that, and then they've got to pay rent and all that kind of stuff. Are the financial conditions preferable by being at a place like that? Presumably there's some kind of assisted living costs sort of stuff.
Oh, certainly. You can get a 3-bedroom house. You pay $25 a week. If you commit to a year contract, you get a bonus $20K at the end of the year. Teaching salary is exactly the same as what you have there, as well as you get a remote living allowance. The financial packages and the ability to save money and make money out here is extraordinary. And again, you're making the greatest impact. Excuse me. Too much yelling at half time. I'm still recovering from. Oh, you'll love this. Our first game, we tossed the coin. They told me which way they were kicking. I said, "You sure?" Yep. The Pakistanis all lined up. I had a look. We had the back line in the forward line, the forward line in the back line. So I'm absolutely yelling at everyone. And then I realised I'm yelling in English. So then I had to get my assistant coach to yell at them all in Urdu to swap them all over. And luckily it was Singapore who we were able to beat quite easily. But
well, they're wombats, aren't they?
They're the wombats, yeah, that's right. They were still a little bit slow out of the blocks.
Michael, we know that it's really early in the morning where you are, it's 7:30, and we appreciate you taking time out of your trip to Broome to pick up the young fella. Thank you so much for being part of the Two Blokes Chatting radio show. I've got a funny feeling you might be appearing on front page at some stage and not too down the...
you can guarantee you'll be getting a call, Michael. I look forward to a further chat about the educational side of what you're doing up there. It's staggering.
No, I'd love to, and it's, again, that it makes such a difference. And don't worry about 25-year-olds. Half my staff are graduates, and they're loving every minute of it, and they're bonding with all the other graduates from the other schools, and, you can go fishing up here, Geeky Gorge. You've got some extraordinary natural features you can get out to and have a look on the weekends, and then obviously Broome with Cable Beach. Cable Beach is the best beach in the world if you haven't been there, so we're certainly going for a swim there before we have lunch and drive back the 4 hour, what are we, about 1,200 Ks we're going to do today, and that's what you do. You do. It's not like sitting in traffic for an hour going from Melbourne to Doncaster, I can tell you, on the open road, and black-headed pythons on the road, and cockatoos and brolgas, and the wildlife is just extraordinary as well. And I can't speak more highly of the Kimberleys. Yeah, it's one of the greatest natural wonders of Australia, that's for sure.
Now, you foolishly said that you'd give out your phone number to people who want to come up and work with you. Do you want to do that, or do you want to just get them to contact you on Facebook?
Yeah, no problems. I'll leave it. So give me a ring, 0499 787 813.
0499 787 813. Michael Gallus, the reigning Asia Cup winning coach and teacher.
How good's that, boys?
Are you happy with that? I was stumbling around world champion. I thought, no, that's probably taken it a bit far. And teacher at Noonkanbah in northwest Western Australia. Thank you so much for taking some of the time out of your day to speak to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show.
No, my pleasure, boys. Big cheer out to everyone in Geelong. What a beautiful city, and congratulations on winning the flag.
No, don't say that.
Good on you, Michael.
Look forward to getting down there again one day.
Well, you'll be an in-guest studio that time. You can guarantee it.
See you, buddy. All the best. I'll be in touch.
No worries. Talk to you soon.
Cheers,
Thanks,
mate.
Michael.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Michael. Michael Gallus. If you're looking for him on Facebook, it's Gallus. It's a funny way to spell Michael, isn't it?
I'll be doing that. Sometimes you've got a short-term memory. You're going to go back a little while. But I, for the life of me, cannot think of a more vibrant guest on the 2 years that we've been doing the show.
When I told you during the week that I had him, I said he doesn't mind a chat. Here we are. Right. He doesn't mind a chat.
It was all interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just picture while he's talking what it would be like up there.
Yeah, so for those who haven't caught on to this, I have a podcast called The Regional 250 where I talk to people who live in different LGAs, local government areas around Australia. He popped up out of nowhere. I don't know where he came from, but he just basically popped and said, I'll have a chat to you. Check out the episode. I think it's episode 55. You can find that at r250.com.au, r250.com.au. Have a listen to Michael. Have a listen to all the other ones because there's some really, really interesting people.
It is interesting. I know Neil's promoting for his benefit, but I can tell you from an observer, it is really, really interesting stuff. So get on and have a go at the Regional 250 podcast. Very interesting stuff.